Hey everybody, John Palumbo here, your pal in real estate. I've been getting a lot of questions regarding this National Association of Realtors lawsuit, and buying a house for buyers may be a little bit different going forward in July of 2024, but buyer's agency has always been around and commissions have always been negotiable. I put together, I'm going to just give you a quick, I'm going to try to make this video quick, but I put together a couple of illustrations of how we've always done real estate business when we bought a house and how it's going to be potentially going forward. If you have any questions, comment to me, ask me whatever questions because I'm your pal in real estate. But I want to give you an example. The way we always did it since 1776, we've been doing it the old way. House gets listed for $500,000. Listed with a 4% commission. Let's say the listing agent wants to do a split. He takes 3%, he gives 1% to the buyer's agent, there's the 4%. Buyer buys a house, I get paid out of this 4%. I would get, if I'm the buyer, I would get the 1%. Now, buyer offers asking price. Closing costs, we figure about 4 to 5%. So let's just say for easy math, $20,000 of closing costs. Terms, he puts $150,000 down payment, he gets a mortgage for $350,000, I get paid, the listing agent gets paid, everybody's happy, he buys a house. Always been done that way. Now, it's going to change a little bit. I'm going to try to explain it to you. New way, you got two options, okay? Listing agent lists the same house for $500,000. But now, the seller says, I don't want to pay the buyer's agent, let them get paid, the buyer, let them get paid by their realtor. I'm only going to give you a 2% commission. So this is on the list side only. Buyer pays 2% commission. Now I'm dealing with the buyer. I tell the buyer I want 3%. We negotiate. We settle out, I'm going to get 2% from the buyer. We sign a buyer's agency. That buyer is only going to work with me. Like I'm listing a seller, now I'm listing the buyer, okay, for 2%. Buyer's closing cost was approximately $20,000. But if he gives asking price, that's $10,000. 2%. So now his closing cost just went up to $30,000. So the buyer says, wait a minute, John, that's going to be a lot of money now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to offer $450. This way, I only got to pay $18,000 in closing, and I got to give you $9. That's $27,000. I saved $3,000. So just I want to do $450. I don't want to go no higher than $450. And we end up making a deal. Seller tries to save $10,000 by not giving out the 2%, and potentially they just lost $50,000 because the buyer, John, interest rates are 7%. I got to pay you. I only have so much money liquid. I got the closing costs. I only got so much money to play with. I have to offer lower to bring the terms down. So what happens? The seller gets less money to save the 2%. But now option B. If you're a good realtor, you can explain this to your seller. Option B. Listing price is $500. Tell them, listen, if you don't pay the seller, the buyer's agent, there might be a house like yours around the corner. That buyer, rather than seeing your house, if the house around the corner is going to pay their commission, that's going to give them incentive to see that house before your house. I recommend you pay the buyer's agent, okay? That's what I'm going to still recommend to my listers, okay? So now they agree, they take their realtor's advice. 4%, seller's going to pay 2% commission. My agreement is for 2%. So at that point, my buyer doesn't have to pay me anything. Let's say they were giving me 1%. I have two options. I can tell my buyer, you only owe me 1% now. But if I'm a smart businessman, I can say, you know what, I'm going to forget about the 1% you owe me, but do me a favor. If your friends, your family, or anybody you know is looking to buy a house or sell a house, remember what I did for you and I'll take care of your family the same way and give me a referral. So that becomes my option at that point. Okay? Buyer offers $500,000 because they no longer have to pay the higher closing cost or my commission. Business as usual. Everyone is happy. Why is it good to be a buyer's agent? What's in it for you for that 2%? Think of an old car. That's your fiduciary duties. This is what I always owe my sellers. I don't owe this to my buyers, because a buyer is a customer and a seller is my client. They get the old car. Obedience, loyalty, disclosure, confidentiality, accounting. In New York State, that's your lawyer's job. We don't take your down payment. We don't take nothing in escrow in New York. And reasonable care. I want to focus on confidentiality, because many people like to deal with listing agents. But let me explain something to you. If you walk into an open house and you see that agent that's working there, they are not working for you as a buyer. They are representing the seller. So the house is listed at 500. You say, I want to make an offer. You want to deal directly with the listing agent. You tell the listing agent, I'm going to offer $425, but I'll go as high as $475. You know what that listing agent is obligated to tell the seller? They're offering $425, but they'll tell me to go as high as $475. They're going to tell the seller everything you just told them, because they do not owe you confidentiality. Their loyalty, their old car is to the seller. But for 2%, I can run comps for you as a buyer and tell you what the houses are actually selling for. I can give you advice on what to offer and what not to offer. And I can help negotiate you get the best price in your interest, because at that point, I'm working for the buyer. The old car goes to the buyer. And many people don't realize it. And it's always been that way. That's nothing new. So listen, John Palumbo, I'm your pal in real estate. Call me, because I'm here for you. I'm your pal in real estate. Ask any questions, contact me. I'm here for you. Thanks for tuning in.